you. Meg Kennard, AP. Meg.
Hey, Governor, thanks for taking the time. To piggyback somewhat off of Maayan's question, you're campaigning in a state where former President Donald Trump has maintained high levels of popularity and support, but also this campaign is happening as he is now repeatedly indicted by several jurisdictions, twice DOJ now. You've voiced criticism of those investigations, but as we've seen, as this cycle has repeated, the former president benefits from fundraising as well as polling numbers. Frankly, every time an indictment comes down, how does that situation, also given the fact that there may be a fourth indictment coming in Georgia soon, how does that further complicate specifically your campaign here? All of those circumstances, plus given the two native candidates that we have in South Carolina.
Well, I think it's a great question. Well, first, I will end the weaponization of government. IRS, DOJ, FBI. You'll have a new FBI director day one. You will see the DOJ. We will clean house. We will be actively holding those agencies accountable. We will be taking power out of D.C. And parceling it out in other parts of the country. And that'll be something we do on day one. And so we see problems. And, the Trump obviously gets most of the attention. But we've seen observant Catholics be targeted by the FBI. We've seen pro-life activists like Mark Houck have a SWAT team go to his house. We saw parents surveilled by the FBI going to school board meetings in Northern Virginia. And so this is clearly, these agencies have lost their way. They have not been held accountable. And I will bring that type of accountability. And I think that's the fundamental question for our voters is, okay, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to actually drain the swamp? Or are we just going to be talking about draining the swamp? And I think the former president had promised to drain the swamp. But if you look at the results, he did not make a dent in the swamp. In fact, he didn't fire Christopher Wray. He elevated Fauci and didn't fire him. He put General Milley in defense to lead the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Jerome Powell to the Fed, and so many other things. And so, we will handle that in a way that will actually bring fundamental change to Washington. And then I think the second point is this election should be a referendum on the failures of Joe Biden and our positive vision to get America on a better path. And so we show how we're going to reverse the decline of this country. And that's what I represent. If the election becomes about the past, if it becomes about what happened 3 or 4 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, if it's about, this document or that document, well, Biden's going to be able to be in the basement again. He's going to be able to fly under the radar. And I think he's going to be able to get away with it again. And we're going to end up saying, what happened? How come, we can't win these elections? And so let's keep it focused on Biden and his failures and how we're going to do better for the American people. And if that is the case, we're going to do very, very well, not just with the presidency, but also expanding our majorities in the House and retaking the U.S. Senate. Anything short of that is just going to be inadequate for us to turn this country around.